and
Sure.
then I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Yeah, no problem. Didn't really do much like the first minute or two of this game. Or, yeah.
Okay, probably a good idea to disengage at that point. All right, so we'll see how the next fight goes. Main problem in the first fight is that we're kind of just like kind of poking and sitting around, which isn't usually going to be the way to go if you're on Genji. We kind of need to be trying to get in there somehow, trying to engage in some fashion. Now that can be like through a variety of different ways. One way that can be done, like just this is usually like I mean, this is like kind of one of my go-tos, like on first fight, especially when you know that a lot of them are kind of up and around bridge area. And
Mm-hmm.
this sometimes can lead to kills. Sometimes maybe it could just lead to a trade, but trade at this point is like usually okay.
Beneficial.
Yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
best, but it's okay. But you can just climb over this wall here, right? You can just come over to this wall and climb over and jump over the roof, and then you can kind of slide down on top of somebody's head, and then that could maybe, for example, let's say that just gets you like right on top of Ana, and then that means that you can 1v1 Ana, and then that take her out, that sort of thing. So that's gonna be a little bit better than just kind of poking from the front.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't play Genji as much, but just try him because he's fun. I didn't know
Yeah.
you can actually wall climb that. I've seen like Junkrat
Mhm.
boost himself over, but yeah.
Yeah. Now, and then besides that, like the other thing is in the other fight, like possibly could have tried just maneuvering around Sigma, possibly dashing past him, like to the left high ground, things like that, trying to just make space and get past him. But yeah, right now we're just kind of poking, we're waiting for our team. Oh, he dashed underneath him.
Yeah, unlucky.
Okay, we'll go over range in a moment. Good dashing and engaging there. That's kind of like what I wanted to see before of the with the engage. Very nice. But probably want to stay on that angle. No reason to kind of get out from up here because we do have dash as a disengage anytime we need it. Like we could
Mm-hmm.
always choose to make this move to get away, right? So
Right.
therefore, instead of coming back to over here, we're now over here. You have to go through Sigma again, and look how far we are from all of the other easier, better targets to go for. But now if
Right.
we
Right.
stay over on this angle and we come up to high ground, well now like we can just kind of poke them from above. Maybe we don't have to jump on them right away, but we can go poke, 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 wait for kind of an opportunity. Genji as a character is very stick.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of just waiting for the moment to strike. You're poking and poking and poking. You're not like necessarily immediately jumping into their whole team, but you're kind of poking and prodding and hoping something opens up. That could be somebody's low HP and then you dash in and finish them off. Or that could be somebody's out of position and then you dash in and take the duel on them. Or that could be that you have your ultimate and now you can go and do an ult combo or something. Or you could have made somebody low HP. You know, it's a variety of different things. Maybe your team's pushing in and diving and making space for you. Like, you know, maybe ball comes in and slams. So now that's an opportunity for you to go in. So things like that, but not really. You're not gonna be really able to capitalize on anything if you're back out at the front end.
Right. I think for me, it's like I'm still not like used to him totally. I'm like,
Mm,
his escapability and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
but I see what you're saying.
Forever hold you in peace.
let's rewatch that for half a second. Okay, so we get the kill. I think we kind of end up maybe like we kind of push a little far and then don't notice that we're being surrounded by 3 people. And then that's kind of what gets us so low. So maybe being a bit further, like closer to cover back this way, deflecting a bit faster, and then besides that, like there's a good dash. Once you are low, this is a good dash escape at 15 HP.
Yeah, I think my thinking was I was trying to kill that on a little bit faster, but
Yeah.
someone's in
Nice.
trouble there.
Unfortunate. Uh-oh. Alright, so we go for our blade. We end up having to use dash, and we dash through. Okay, so we're gonna go over a couple different techie things. Real quick here in Genji. Now, yeah, of course, you say you're not Genji for long, so hopefully we're not gonna spend too much time, hopefully, here. But at least 2 things we're gonna go over. Alright, so firstly is the when to use left click versus right click, because I'm noticing a lot of like kind of range mishaps with it, which left click versus right click is very dependent on like what range are you from people and kind of what's the situation. Now, right click is your preference whenever able because it's a faster fire rate. Faster fire rate means more damage, right? You're shooting more bullets equals more damage. And but the problem is that you're not always going to be like landing all those shurikens. So if we're close enough to land 2 or 3 of the shurikens, then go for it, because that's better than hitting one individual shuriken, right? And being inaccurate with it and whatnot. So if we're at a range here and we're only able to hit one individual shuriken no matter where I'm aiming, right? No matter what I'm hitting one shuriken, then it's just not worth it at this point. You don't want to be firing a right click when you could be doing a left click and landing potentially 3 shots. Like, even if we're landing 3 body shots here, that's still better than one individual headshot. So we want to be going for these left clicks so we can have more accuracy at a range. Usually about the range. So let's see if we right click here. If we go for headshots, you can get 2 if you kind of angle it a little bit at 10 meters, and you can get 3 body shots. So around 10 meters or so is the range in which you kind of right click in. Outside of that is left click, but you can extend the range if it's a tank. You can extend the range if it's a shield, or if it's like a group that you're spamming into, but only if you're spamming into the group without an intention. I mean, a lot of times you can spam into a group and still try to be hitting an individual person, in which case left click would still be better. So it kind of depends a little bit, but just left click at range, right click when you're a bit closer. I'm noticing a lot of situations where you're right clicking from like back here, and then that's just less damage. Make sense? Yep, alright. So next thing is dashing. So when it comes to your dashing, what ended up happening there when you bladed is you went like this. It's all the way over there. So rather than trying to have to do this like terrible follow-up after the dash, what you can do is dash into the ground, and then that cancels your momentum. So here, if I'm just trying to kill this person, I would dash up, and that means I can follow up very easily on it afterwards. Same thing with blade.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I've been noticing that. I've been noticing that a lot more. I've been trying to do that a lot more too.
Alright, so I think that's it for the moment.
Welcome to Circuit Royale. Ready for battle.
There you can kind of see some of those right clicks from too far away.
I was actually surprised that I lived there. That's why I paused for a second.
Yep, I think you got you ended up getting tranced, which helped.
I didn't notice, to be honest.
Yeah, good kills.
I am here.
Alright, so here,
What you're made of.
promise that here we land a big right click. Probably could be dashing like a little bit faster, but we end up deflecting on it. Even though he's not looking at you yet. So there, just follow up probably could have been dash, and then that leads to a faster kill. Good disengage though. Is ranged right clicks again. Right. So here, I think we're seeing that there's a bomb, and you're scared that you're gonna go into it, which, yep, you're about to die to it. So then you dash through. All right. So maybe a little bit of a panic dash. If we don't kill Baby Diva, that could have gotten you killed, but we made
Yeah,
it
for
out.
sure.
Very nice. Do know, my minor point as well is that you can do a great thing that you're doing dash combos, but from a range you're also able to do left click dashes as well, which can help you land more shots.
Like left clicking instead of right clicking.
Yep.
Before.
All right. Usually recommend when you're low HP. I haven't noticed you now. Your supports have been doing a really good job of keeping you up, but just request healing when you're low. It's gonna get your supports to know that you need healing, but they also know where you need healing at, and it gets you healing much faster in a lot of cases. So I just recommend having that balance, having that kind of as a habit to press. Now, of course, don't annoy them by pressing it when you're full HP, but usually it's a good idea, like if you go a second without healing, get to healing really quickly. So here we're like just trying to run away at 60 HP. Very easily could have died if Ana wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
All right, so notice that we're kind of getting lost with our dashes. Like we kind of go for, or with our blades, we go for them, and then we're just kind of like, oh, where'd everyone go, sort of deal. When you go for your blade, try to have people intentionally picked out that you're going for, right? Pick out targets and kind of pick out like a turn order with your targets. That way you are not getting lost on who you're going for, but you kind of have that in mind and think about like the fact that like can the people get away, so go for like the easiest people to the hardest people when you're trying to blade on the enemy team. So if like you look top left, they have a pretty difficult team to blade, and why is that? Like why would they be hard to blade?
Kiriko, Genji, people with mobility
Mobility,
besides
exactly.
Bastion. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of them can get away from you, right? Which is going to be
Mhm.
really, really tough. So that means that usually you're probably going to want to hold on to your second dash. Because remember, when you're blading, you can dash before you blade, and then you blade, it resets dash, now you have a second dash. So usually you can maybe rather than dashing straight up in the air or something like that, you can dash at the person and blade. This
Mhm.
makes, like, let's say you, for example, go at the Moira like that. You dash right at the Moira with a blade. Now she fades away immediately, and then you have a dash to catch up to her, right? You look around and then you catch up to her. So, I'd probably hold on to the dash so that you have a way to get to them rather than dashing at these people with mobility and then Moira fades away and then now you're just kind of left dead in the water. So that's the first thing. Secondly, pick out the targets. Probably wouldn't go for Monkey. Probably, besides that, like, Kiriko has two defensive, like, she has TP and Suzu and possibly climb. Genji has climb, deflect, and dash. I'd probably go for Moira. Moira only, like, kind of just has her fade. And then Bastion also probably wouldn't be too shabby of a pick. He might take 2 slashes, but he probably wouldn't be too bad either. So that would probably be the two that I would aim for, and then anybody else who kind of comes your way at that point. But just make sure that you're just thinking through their team comp and picking the ones that are going to be the easiest to go for, and then also watching out for all the mobility, because like all team comp dictates play style, so got to be paying attention to what they're running, what you're running, and then how that affects how you're playing. All that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I on that for sure. I mean, that's something I've noticed for sure as well.
Hmm.
I also wasn't expecting to get Nano there, so I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, trying to do as you said, but got lost a little bit.
千里の一問一足ずつ運ぶがいい。I am healed.
How far do you have to be away to deflect that Moira orb?
You have to be close to it. Like, you have to be. I mean, it really has to come into your deflect. There we kind of just stayed outside of range of it. So like, notice how when we're deflecting, we're like all the way back here. You
Hmm.
probably need to be like, you probably need to be like up here on it. Right,
Got
so
it.
something like that. So it has to come into your deflect. Whereas we kind of just like sit back on
Pretty
it.
much touching it though,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
like, if it comes to you, like right there, you can still
yeah,
deflect it.
yeah. You can deflect it, but run into it really
Okay.
instead of running away from it.
I am healed.
Okay, right clicking from a distance. Um, Yeah, gotta be careful about dashing in without an opportunity to go off of. So here, end up dashing in. You also don't have like your deflect as well as an option to disengage. So that means that we're down kind of resources. So you kind of have a lack of resources a little bit, and then also you don't really have an opportunity to engage off of, and we're getting really aggressive. So here we're kind of dashing into where 4 people can shoot at us out in the open, no cover to use. Like, we're dashing at what, a Genji who is
Mhm.
can still be poking. But once again, it's just kind of the watch out for opportunities and engage off those. But here it's a little bit fast of an engagement, a little bit hard.
Yeah, I think my thinking was I might have died right then, and the spawn was there, so I could try to get a kill, but it didn't work out. And I'm pretty sure at this point I was actually thinking about switching off, but I was close to ult. So.
Unfortunate. Probably gonna try climbing to get extra height over it, since you don't have any abilities to get away from it. So just turning to a wall and climbing away.
Got it.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, man, never lost.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Alright. Kind of watch it where your team's at. Like if they're like really far forwards, maybe could be peeking a little bit. But if they start backing up, then maybe we could be retaking high ground. Because now we're kind of stuck on low ground at the moment.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job chasing after ball. Very nice. Got a bunch of kills. Maybe we could just like drop and peek and take some pot shots, and then we back off and afterwards. So it just gets a little bit.
Yeah, I was just being extra conservative, I guess.
Okay, good job taking high ground position. It's been pretty solid so far. We're gonna talk about aiming stuff in a minute. See if there's anything else to kind of take with us though.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. There's no reaction too.
Yeah, just gotta be careful about standing still when you're on the open. I think we thought like maybe you're behind the wall or something.
Exactly.
Alright. So firstly, once again, request healing if Anna's not seeing that you're low. Just that way you can get healed up and you can re-engage. Secondly, little out in the open when you could be hugging the wall a bit more, which makes it harder for a soldier to see you and shoot at you. As another thing. Thirdly, high nooning when you're half HP and soldiers visoring. Maybe not the best play.
Yeah. I was like, maybe if I kill him first, I could win that. Maybe I'll die as well.
Oh man, this reminded me of a really weird dream that I had where they like combined Soldier and Ashe as characters or something like that. Oh, you're
That'd be
dead.
pretty dope. Yeah.
Alright. So here, miss the audio cue, right? So this kind of gets into like a little bit of just like not every, but most deaths have a reason, have a thing that you can fix about it. Not every death. Some deaths you just are kind of forced to die. But a lot of deaths you can very easily avoid if you're fixing something, right? If you're paying attention to something. So there's a lot of different reasons why you die. What are some different reasons why people can die?
Positioning.
Poor positioning, yep.
Um, Probably the biggest thing I can think of. Uh, Not knowing when to PO, which I mean it goes into positioning as well.
No, knowing when what?
Knowing when to like, back off or
Okay,
be,
yeah.
wait for your team and
Yeah.
whatnot.
So that can maybe be a bit of like over aggression, being too far pushed
Mm-hmm.
forwards. Other ones would be a lack of awareness. So not knowing that there's a bleeding Genji on top of you, right? Would be a lack of awareness.
Yeah, I had
um,
no idea. I didn't even
mhm.
hear it,
Yep.
but it could have been hyper focused.
Yep, and then there's also misuse of abilities, such as if you, I mean, like on Ashe, there's not too much you can do wrong besides if you like accidentally dynamite or don't use Coach Gun. Like here, the minor thing would be like if you know that Genji's blading you, you can Coach Gun, right? That's your really
Mm-hmm.
your big option. And then other thing would be like poor, little tinier thing would be like poor movement, like standing still and letting them shoot you. So here the main thing is lack of awareness, right? So on a Nano's Genji, you hear the audio cue, and then you hear Genji go for Blade, which kind of gets covered over a little bit by the other ones, but just making sure you're keeping your ears open and and paying attention, and that can help make sure that you hear the Genji, and then once you hear that it's happening, backing away from the ledge, when he comes at you, coach gunning him away.
Yeah, I think I was just so hyper focused there. I didn't hear it at all until I
Yeah.
died. I was like, what happened?
Alright, let's go over the thing we're going to go over. So, this is going to apply to Genji as well, but not as much, but definitely on McCree and Ashe and other hit scan based characters. So, when you are going about doing your stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've heard about it. I mean, like, this is really gonna, I'm gonna put in my own words and just, show you how it can be done in Overwatch, dude. Like, what, do you mind me asking, what FPS games did you come from?
Played a little bit of Valorant
Mm-hmm.
for a while.
Gotcha. So,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
so you probably heard it from things like Valorant, right? Valorant,
Mm-hmm.
FPS, crowd placement, right? Very, very big part
Yep.
of the game. It's because aim is a bit in Valorant is a bit more of a mainstay. It's something that you're it is a bit more. How do I say this? Is a bit bigger part of the game than in Overwatch.
Right.
It's a bit more important, but don't let the fact that it's not as big of a part in Overwatch fool you into thinking it's not important anymore, because it still is aiming is still a part of Overwatch. It's maybe around like a fifth of the game. Depending on what character you're playing, it's going to be a bit more or a bit less, but mechanics is still pretty important. So when you're aiming, crosshair placement is going to be placing your crosshair in the best place possible to hit the easiest shots. It's using your brain to help your aim. Now, if we're walking around and we're aiming down at body level, to hit headshots, switch headshots to usually across most characters 2 times damage. So headshot, body shot, right? Right, a lot more damage, right? It's taking twice the amount of shots to kill someone if we're going for those bodies. And if we're aiming down here, then what I'm noticing a lot of times is we're going for adjustments up to the head anyways, where you're just kind of flicking upwards every single time we're shooting. And that just means that you're making your shots unnecessarily difficult, right? You're just making your shots harder on yourself. If we're going up to the left, up to the left, up to the right, every single time we're
Mm-hmm.
shooting, just more adjustment. Now, if we're aiming just consistently high level, then we can go left, right, and we end up getting much easier shots. If we're going about our business, let's say we're shooting down corridors, shooting into shields, shooting into tanks and people, well, then you're just going to notice that if we're aiming down here, you just naturally hit body shots. But if we just adjust upwards, the new natural turns into headshots because we're doing all the same stuff, except for that's just where we're aiming. Next placement would be like pre-aiming, aiming where you know people are going to be. So we know that bot is top right, so we're pre-aiming top right, right at head level. That way, just kind of walks into it. Bot's top left, pre-aiming top left, head level. And we're kind of just pre-aiming as we're turning the corner. Very easy shots. And in Overwatch, in comparison to like something like Valorant, remember that there's a lot more verticality. There's a lot
Yeah,
more
for
need for
sure.
adjustment. So don't lock it in at one neutral head level, which most characters will follow. But you're also going to have slopes like so, and you're going to have to adjust downwards like you would on on like a Torbjorn, or you'd adjust upwards on a tank, and then you're going to have things like high grounds you have to aim up and whatnot. So here we're on a slope, so we're going to aim downwards. So when we turn this corner, it's very limited needed, right? So just watch that. Make sure you're trying to aim head level. Noticing a lot of instances where we're just kind of going for body shots and aiming at body level, and then it just means less damage. Less damage means less ult charge, means less kills, and that means less fight wins overall. So I'd go for it much more if you're able to. All that makes sense.
Yeah. It's definitely different than Valorant for sure. Like you said, all the slopes and the verticality. It's just definitely a lot more of that in this game.
Yep.
Welcome to Circuit Royale.
Especially hard on the smaller hitbox characters like
Ready for
Kiriko, Tracer.
For sure. And yeah, and it's just kind of remembering that, like, you're able to hit body shots. It's just not the preference usually. And then the shots that you are missing are made up by the extra damage. Oh wait, we already passed this. Oopsie.
Very good.
Here.
We're about right here, yeah.
Okay. So here, main thing I'd say, right? Like if we're thinking, I guess I'll let you think through it. We just gave a bunch of reasons why people could die. What would you say is the main reason here why you die?
Positioning, being out in the open.
Yeah, I agree, definitely agree. So just poor positioning, or more specifically, a lack of cover. So being out in the open. So if we're right here and we're shooting, we can do the same amount of shooting, except for now we go boop, soldier can't see you, right? And then you're instantly safe, instantly can just get healed up. But when you're right here, it's gonna take you a second or two to get over there, right? And then that means that in that time you die. So for good position. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. So the closer you stand next to cover, and whenever you're able at all times, better positioning you're gonna be in.
I think I was just trying to do two things at one time there. Trying to do damage, but at the same time trying to get there, but
Which
got there a little bit too slow.
Yeah, and once again, like in that case, it's just like, trying to push the cover as fast as possible. If you're trying to get closer, probably using this right side would be the best for that. So hugging this right side cover, like, as you can do this with the cover now, right? So hugging this as you're approaching can definitely be very handy, and you can kind of get these angles off on the side. So yeah, just using what's available.
Just the awareness there too.
Your dynamite. So let's rewatch this for a second. They're kind of coming in. I think we're down someone at the very least. Soldiers off on the side here. We're a little too close for comfort. So
Mm-hmm.
firstly, I'd recommend coach gunning it to wherever you're trying to go. It's going to get you there faster. We kind of just have yet to use the ability. I think you have a lot of different usages that you can use with it. You can use it to propel yourself for places faster, propel enemies away from you. You can use it to get high grounds, things of that sort. So here, if you're trying to get away, maybe you can. Don't really have too many options, but you maybe coach them around the cover here, or you can. The only really other alternative is to go to the right. If you just coach gun this faster than he's able to, be the way to go. But here, just not using the ability, or actually, I missed that fact they used it, but using it maybe a little bit delayed, and then besides that, oh, they nanoed the Sigma anyways.
Yeah, I think my reasoning for that was I would have disengaged, but I saw like my Zen was already up there, so I was like trying to help him. But,
Yeah.
being a ranged character, it's better being in the back anyway.
Yep.
Uh, ended up dying there.
Yeah, probably like similar thing here. Like, no need to. If you see that it's just like balls being fluxed, he's probably dead, right? Probably not a big reason to firstly be pushing without cover. Secondly, just like not having a way to disengage. It's kind of just at this
Mm-hmm.
point, it's just kind of feeding them extra HP. Uh oh, Zen. Okay, probably could be taking high ground right now. Maybe like top left would be a good idea.
Should actually never go up there. I should start
Yeah.
doing that more.
Now it depends on composition a little bit. It kind of like depends on like where they're at, but kind of rotate between the high grounds pretty good usually. So like here, even remember you can just like at any point you can coach gun up there. So like if they're all the way back there, coach gun up here, and then this gives you much better angles to be able to shoot at people.
Mm-hmm.
Genji, tries to come up back down here where you were to begin with, right?
Just had to shoot it.
Okay. Noticing a lot of left clicks being tossed in there, or sorry, unscoped shots being tossed in randomly. Usually on Ashe, unscoped shots it's kind of very similar to like Widowmaker. They're tossed in when somebody is low HP to finish them off, because otherwise you're burning through your shots really quickly. It's very small bang, like you're not really getting a bang for your buck. Like your scope shots is where you get a lot of damage for your shots, and it's not burning through them super quickly. So I would only go for the unscoped shots if they're low HP and it's like kind of a finisher. And then even then, you usually want to do that if they're like a close to medium range from them. The only other time that you do that is if they're like right on top of you, and then you don't want to be scoped in if they're right on top of you. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's another time you can go for it. And then like other minor situations, like once in a while you can go for it on like a like wrecking ball if you can't hit headshots on him, something like that if you're trying to burst something down, but only if you are comfortable with the fact that you're going to be having to reload for the next couple of seconds. But
Gotcha.
I just noticed that we're just tossing it in a lot of the time, just kind of randomly. Very nice. Okay, probably could be taking your back high ground once again for this engagement. Once again, noting
Mm-hmm.
better angle.
Definitely.
All right, so Bob placement. Let's take a look at it. Maybe. Okay, so Bob gets put in there. is best to go to the side or behind of them. Here, this is kind of in front of them. It's behind Sigma, but Sigma can kind of probably just block it off pretty easy. They end up sleeping Bob. So, firstly, kind of gotta pay attention to sleep cooldown because that's just an insta KO for Bob. If we try to Bob and they have sleep, then Bob just doesn't do anything. So, make sure that you're paying attention to does Ana have sleep, does Ana not have sleep. Once again, that's a team comp dictates playstyle thing. At the beginning of every single game, check what comp are they running, what comp are we running, because that means a lot of, it changes a lot of things about how you're playing. Don't have to worry about that if they don't have an on. Next thing, also press tab. The other thing is just get in the habit of press tab at a very minimum once between every single fight. Gives you a lot of info. Did they swap characters? Did we swap characters? Do we have ultimates? Like what are we working with? Then next, like I said, usually wants to go to the side or behind. This is because it creates a crossfire effect. Like go like into this corner. Now we get this whole corridor and that whole corridor. And then it's also behind them. And when it's behind them, that means that they have to choose, okay, do we turn around and shoot at Bob? Do we shoot at the team? It ends up splitting their focus and attention. Bob stays alive longer. Whereas if you put Bob in front, then they can all just back off and shoot at Bob, and then Bob melts instantly. So it creates what you call crossfire effect. Gets an off angle on them. It gets around the shields and the tanks. So a lot of benefits to putting it to like the side or behind. Here it's kind of in the front. They also sleep for it. Let's see what else do. Kind of what stage in the fight were we when we threw it? We're down ball, but it's not. I guess it's the problem.
I threw it because I was like, maybe save my teammates, but
yeah,
I think it was too late. Felt like I wasn't really getting much value out of Ashe, or since I switched.
Okay.
I should have went on the high ground here.
Yeah. And at that point, kind of just can be coach gunning up there. Really, like you can just kind of walk over here and just coach gun straight up, and then you're there.
I actually didn't know you can get up there from spawn. Haven't played this map in a while. Until like, they re-added it back in.
You gotta be careful of shooting into Sigma's grasp, so we're not feeding him health. Alright, so that's about it for that one. Let's see, with a little bit of extra time here, let's talk about application. So how do you put this stuff into action, into practice? Because yeah, like some of it maybe seems a little bit straightforward. Maybe some things seem a little bit more vague, like, okay, well, how do I pay attention better? How do I have better awareness that maybe isn't as obvious on how to apply to your gameplay? So let's talk about application. How do you put this stuff into action? You're going to put this stuff into action really the same way that you work on anything, and that is that while you are playing, you want to make sure that you're actively focusing on the thing you're trying to work on. That means that you're not going to just play to play, you're not going to autopilot, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to just purely play to win, but you're going to play to improve. Because improvement means better gameplay, and you're probably going to have more fun when you're improving. Right? Now, what that will actually look like while you're playing is you're going to pick something out, let's say, for example, awareness, and you're going to pick it out, and you're going to think to yourself, awareness, 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 right? Pay attention, right? Look around, listen, 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 listen. And when you pay attention to your surroundings, when you give yourself that reminder to pay attention, well, you're probably going to do it a bit more than if you weren't reminding yourself at all, if you weren't thinking about it at all, right? And that's really what awareness is it's thinking about your surroundings. So if you remind yourself to think, and you're thinking more, your awareness is now better. And if your awareness is now better and you do this for a long enough period of time, that forms as a habit. Once it forms as a habit, then you don't really need to worry about it as much anymore. You don't need to focus in as intensely. It just kind of comes more naturally. So you can move on to the next thing to work on. The next thing to pay attention to. Final thing would be don't try to do everything all at once. If you try to do that, it'll just be a little bit too overwhelming. So instead, focus on one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. That'll make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So you're not overwhelmed. Trying to work on one thing at a time and improve from there.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's see. Is there anything else to worry about here? Yeah, I guess really the only thing other I'd say is like Genji, just make sure you're getting in range. There are a couple times, I think you, after that first point especially, started to do a lot better, but just make sure you're getting in range on him, which your range preferably is as like, close as possible, right? You want to be within this 10 meters. 10 meters is where you're able to just do that good damage, but you kind of cap out at your dash range. Your dash range being
Precision is the way of the effective warrior.
here, and then we're back here instead, right? So just thinking through things like that. So pushing forwards, make sure they're within that range, and whatnot. All right.
And so when you're in range for the right click, you always want to be aiming just slightly off of the head to get the double headshot.
Yeah, like you kind of have to be at the perfect range for that anyway. So like, let's see, if we're at 10 meters, right? We can kind of look at what's a triple body shot. Triple body shot is like what 75. Each of those are 25. So 25, 40, 75, a little bit over 80 damage, something like that, right? So then if we go for the double headshot.
How was that, punk?
Go for the angle a little bit, but that's only for this like tiny little specific range in which you're not hitting everything, because once you push closer, then you can just go like this and you're hitting all of them anyways, right? So if you like push here, then you no longer need to do that once you get to 9 meters. And then if you get to 11 meters, does it still work? Okay, it does. So it's really only for like a couple meters that you would even need to do that. So yeah, it is literally for like 10 to 11 meters. So maybe not gonna be an all the time thing. Maybe occasionally.
Right. Just when you're in range, right?
Yeah.
Just a little off to the head to try to get the double headshot.
Yep. All right, let's start to go through some of the stuff. We're gonna do go over the main points of the session, do a quick review, and wrap up from there.
Okay.
Abilities on Genji, dash. I don't think you really too many problems. I think like a lot of it came down to like maybe once in a while like you could have dashed, and we didn't, or left click dash, sort of thing. Dashing at the floor. Yep.
The left click dash. What instances would you use that? Just when the right click is gonna like do less damage?
When you're out of range of the right click, right? So because remember,
Right,
if you're 10 further than 10 meters and you're only doing one right click, right, and then you're dashing in, you're doing well, he was already low, so that doesn't count. So you're doing doing a lot more because you have potential to hit more shurikens.
So like outside that 11-12 meter mark. Yeah. Got it.
All right. Then dashing at the floor, right? So you don't go soaring past people. Deflect once in a while. You like deflect to like someone wasn't looking at you or something like that. Most of the time it was pretty good though, so like not too many issues with it. Overall abilities in Genji, like low to medium priority for you to work on, kind of lower end of things. Blade, a lot more problems though. Blade, it was like kind of lost track of people, right? So make sure that you're paying attention to what team comp they're on. think, who am I going for first, second, possibly third, right? Think through the steps of who are you going for. Scout it out. Think through, like, when you have Blade, don't just go for it blind. Look and analyze, like, where are their teammates at? Who am I going for when I'm about to Blade here, right? So take a peek and look at where people at, so you already have a plan in action. Think about, do I have to save a dash for mobility's sake? If it's like an Ana, then probably not. If it's a Moira, then yes, you will, right? Because you need to fade dash after her fade. Things like that. Pay attention. Overall, probably a bit more of a medium priority for you to work on. Ashe, abilities, Coach Gun, just use it. From people. Dynamite, not too many issues. Maybe toss it into shield one too many times. So throw it over the shield and watch for shield. Things like that.
Alright, so you would never throw it at the shield just to try to break the shield. You just
No, not usually. No, that's usually not worth it, because it's much more effective on group damage on squishies, because it's meaning that you hitting every person in the radius for that much damage, which makes them very easy to finish off. So it's really worth it as on squishy targets, not as much on a shield. So I wouldn't really use it as shield damage usually. Plus, if you get it right over top of the shield, you're hitting the shield anyways. Because, like, let's say for example you explode it past the shield on the Sigma, well, then it hits the shield anyways, right? Because it's just on the other side of it. So usually throw it over top.
And does it do more damage if it's like closer, or it just
no?
If you get hit by it, it does the same amount of damage?
If you get hit by it, it's the same amount of damage no matter where you're at. Yep.
And how much is that approximately?
100 and a little over 150, I think, or no, sorry, a little less than 150. So 145, something like that, or 135, something.
Got it.
Yeah. Then overall, that one maybe like around the same as Genji, and a low to medium, maybe mildly higher, but nothing too big. Or yeah, I guess it's the same. We'll say it's the same. Bob, not as many issues as Blade, so mildly lower. Maybe like low to medium instead, but put it behind them. Make sure we're watching with it. Let's see what else we have here. We also did Kree very briefly. Kree, I only saw one ult. Don't you do it when you're low HP. See too many problems with abilities. Maybe like, yeah, no, really, we weren't on Kree long enough for me to see anything with ability. Yeah, so moving on to your mechanics. Crosshair placement, aim at head level, aim where you know people are going to be, so head level, pre-aiming. Go for the easiest targets. Now, we didn't really dwell on that for too long, but just make sure you're not kind of going after things that...
Double kill.
I'm the last one you'll ever cross. Busy work.
The further you go, you're gonna have to start to get spread on your shots, and then you're not hitting them even if you're aiming at them. So be a bit careful. You're gonna have ranges of using it where you can use scope instead. Better bang for your buck. Besides that, Genji, left click versus right click, right? Watch that 10 meter range on, and don't right click from too far away, right? Left click dash, things like that. Overall mechanics, around the medium, something like that. Maybe, yeah, something around that. Next comes your positioning. Genji, watch your range, right? Make sure you're pushed up and you're within the range whenever possible. Watch your preference range. Watch cover usage. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. When we can do this rather than being all the way over here. High grounds usually did a fantastic job. Like, usually positioning is pretty good, and then once in a while it wouldn't be good. So watch that. Make sure you're taking high grounds. Take them in between fights. Use Coach Gun to get there. Just really easy options a lot of times. And overall positioning, maybe also around like a medium, maybe lower end medium. Like, that's kind of seeming like where a lot of these are going. Awareness, final thing, awareness. Pay attention to your health. Request healing when you're low. pay attention to team comps and how they dictate your play style. Press tab in between every single fight so you're aware of what team comps are. Pay attention to your audio cues so you can hear things. Make sure that you're actively paying attention to where is the enemy team at, where's my team at. Is there anything else? All the other odds and ends that go along with that. And then overall, that one probably went to like run medium as well. So nothing is like glaringly out of place, but it just means like everything needs a little bit of work, right? And that's just how. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just how it is sometimes with certain people. You don't
Sure.
have any. It's not like you're running in and dying every 5 seconds. But you also have some inconsistencies across different parts of your kit. So to put that all in order, number 1 I'd probably put at let's see, probably I would say awareness. Number 2 going to be your let's say mechanics. Actually, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit because I think sorry, it's always hard when they're that close. So really, you could honestly
Yeah.
go with any of them. So let's say the awareness is number 1. Then number 2 we'll put at positioning and / mechanics. It's really kind of whatever one you want to do. And then 3 is maybe like a little bit dependent on what character you're playing, but across abilities and ultimates and whatnot. But 3 we'll put at your ability usage unless you're on Genji, in which case it's probably ultimate usage. And then finally, ult usage kind of comes in at last at number 5. Any final questions?
No, I think so, dude. It's pretty helpful. I appreciate it.
Double